The ashes of today are the sparks of tomorrow. By XX Misery Smiles XX. Read by Kaiinbed. Chapter 13. Day 1. Hawks didn't eat breakfast. Day 2. Hawks didn't leave his room. Day 3. Hawks didn't get out of bed. Day 4. Hawks felt his wings' absence like a fist around his throat for the first time in days, and Hawks let himself be choked. It was quiet in the dark. "What's with you?" Ogawa walked into the room, arms crossed, expression serious, and too muddled for Hawks to make out. Not that he really was paying attention. "Nothing," he snapped, turning away. "I'm peachy." "Bullshit," Ogawa said, taking a step closer. And Hawks bristled, suddenly realizing with a jolt what she was. He glared. "You knew." "Knew what?" Ogawa asked, still skeptical. "That Toby was Todoroki Toya," he bit, and Ogawa's eyes widened. "Oh shit! You only just found out?" "Obviously," Hawks hissed. "If I'd known earlier, I would've fucking said something. He bit his lip hard, feeling blood bead at the spot his fangs sunk into. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I can't, Ogawa started, but he cut her off. "That's bullshit. You're allowed to break that when it's dangerous, right?" "You weren't in danger," Ogawa pointed out. Hawks shook his head, deflating slightly. You know our history, right? Do you know what he..." Ogawa paused, tension high in her shoulders. "I don't keep up much with hero news. Were you... I didn't know if you two were ever involved." Hawks bristled, drawing his knees to his chest and hugging himself. "A few years ago, I was assigned on an undercover mission to infiltrate the League of Villains by the Commission. I betrayed them, killed one of their guys. Toya, whatever he wants to be called, didn't take kindly to it. He gestured to his back. So he burned my wings off, one feather at a damn time." Ogawa covered her mouth with a hand. "Oh." Hawks wished he could feel satisfied at her horror, but instead he only felt empty. "Yeah." "Did he..." Ogawa looked uncomfortable. "Has he put you in any danger since you arrived?" Hawks sighed. "Only the danger of getting my heart broken. And I think that's on me too." "Ah." Ogawa reached out, offering a hand, and he leaned into her side, letting her rub his back reassuringly. "I don't think I'm qualified to give you professional advice here, but as a friend, I want to tell you that it's your choice what you do. I know he's been through a lot of pain, and I know you made him happy. But if he makes you feel miserable, knowing who he is, then I wouldn't want you to be in that situation. Either way," she squeezed his shoulder, "don't disappear again. You deserve better than that." Hawks just sighed and turned away. "Yeah." Ogawa stood, gave him one last pitying look he didn't deserve, and then walked away, leaving Hawks with just his thoughts. It was 11:30 at night, and Hawks still wasn't asleep. He could feel the stillness of the air, the silence choking him, the blanket beneath his fingertips. He heard his heart, slow and thudding in his chest, but he still couldn't believe that it was really beating. "I have a pain tolerance like you wouldn't believe, nerd." All the things he'd said, they were running through Hawks' head on loop. It wasn't enough to just know he'd missed the signs. "No, I don't think I'm scared of you." "Then you might be one of the first." How had he not known? How could he have known? How was the worst thing to ever happen to him? The first thing to make complete sense in months. "I am. Scared of me, I mean. I'm scared of myself constantly." "Why?" Why wouldn't you be afraid of the person who tried to kill you?" The patterns of stitches from the corners of Dobby's mouth to his ears, like staple lines. The way Toby flushed when Hawks traced his thumb along the pattern of the skin. You don't have to be some kind of brave hero all the time with me. The dashes of red in Dobby's eyelashes. The way Toby batted them when he was flustered. I couldn't cry, for a long time actually. The ice-cold blue eyes that Hawks had tried to drown himself in again and again for the past months. The way they sparkled when Hawks said Toby's name like a prayer. Whispered it into his lips when they were pressed close together in dark corners to hide from darker memories. Just because I want to forget the past doesn't mean you have to. I ran away because there was nothing good left for me there. The way Dobby avoided the news when it was on, flinched at the mention of the number one hero, or of heroes in general. The smug satisfaction and flirty grin Toby gave whenever he won a game of Guess Who, Heroes Edition. Don't worry, kitty cat. I haven't forgotten what my name is. Toya, Dobby, Toby. To of Toya. B of Dobby. Toby. Definition: flight. It's weird. I always thought I'd drown in flames. Now I think I'm going to drown in you. The heat that radiated from his skin at all times. The way it felt against Hawks' own cold arms, when Toby wrapped him up tightly and held him close. I'm not used to it, feeling more good than bad, more joy than rage, more love than hate. The feeling of Dobby's hands against his wings, tearing him asunder. The feeling of Toby's fingers against his back, tying him to the earth. I'm not going to destroy you. I destroyed the last person I fell for, and it didn't make me feel any better. Who had Dobby ever fallen for? Who hadn't he destroyed? I don't feel like I'm hiding my identity when I'm with you. I feel like this is my identity. Was it him? I want to tell you my real name, so you can have both. Kay, I love you. And then it clicked. Hawks' mind finally found a way to join the two identities, and he was left gasping, as Dobby's face fit into Toya's name, and Toya smiled with Dobby's eyes. Then it was just Toby, and Hawks was falling. The man he thought was dead had been the same one he'd kissed 100 times over and never known. Jesus, he'd had flashbacks to Dobby burning his wings before, and Toby had held him through it. He'd comforted Hawks and held him close from the destruction he himself had caused. And, oh. Hawks gasped for air, and none came to him, because Dobby didn't know. Toby didn't know who Kay was. Oh, fuck. Toby didn't know why he'd ran away, why he'd disappeared for the past 4 days, Hawks put his head in his arms and let out a muffled scream, wishing he could sob, but not able to make the bubble in his chest spill over. And he considered everything he risked so far in his life, and risked it again in his head, as he made his decision. There hadn't ever been an option, really. Chapter 14. He needed to find Toby. As soon as it reached a reasonable time to actually leave, Hawks got up and exited his room, wandering down the halls without any real destination in mind. He checked Toby's room, the cafeteria, the rec room, the vending machines, always a sure idea, the lower floors. He got some stares and a few questions from curious nurses, but no luck. So Hawks checked again, feeling his panic and frustration growing with every fruitless turn around another useless corner. Haruka noticed him on his third loop and gave a pitying look. You looking for Toby-kun? Hawks nodded, sighing. Yeah, I don't know where he is. She shook her head slowly. He hasn't been talking to me much, and Mickey hasn't managed to find him. I'm sorry. Oh. Hawks looked at the ground. Okay. He ended up just heading back to his room, feeling defeat like a thorn necklace. There was a knock on the door, and Hawks nearly ran to open it. Ogawa didn't knock, just calling out to check he was decent before she opened it, which meant it could only be one other person. His mouth was already curling into a name when the door was flung open for him. Hawks! Then a pair of strong brown arms were thrown around his neck with a shriek, and Hawks felt disappointment, surprise, and excitement surge into a mix that came out as a loud, distinctly inhuman squawk. Rumi! Mirko let out a long laugh, clapping his shoulder. You better believe it, baby! Surprise! She threw herself into a chair across the room, crossing her legs on the table in front of her without a word. You look terrible, she observed cheerily. Thanks for the reminder. I really needed it. Hawk scoffed, grinning back. Bitch. Now, my child. Mirko shushed, leaning back like a wizened wizard, about to impart him with priceless knowledge. It is the godly duty of the lesbian to remind the unruly twink of his place in this world. I am simply doing as the prophecy requests. The prophecy is about to request I throw one of my slippers at your head, Hawks threatened, and Mirko simply smirked. Try it, bitch. See how far it gets you. I'm not below bitch kicking a disabled chicken. Well, for Yumi season you, I'll never know, Hawks said dramatically, then fell silent as he remembered with a jolt exactly who Fuyumi was. Mirko sensed the shift and softened, leveling him with a long look. How've things been, Hawks? She asked, and Hawks broke down, feeling tears spring to his eyes as his voice cracked. Not good, Rumi. Not good. Oh, Jesus. Come here, you simple bitch. She opened her arms, letting Hawks fit himself into her hug as she gently patted his head. Her paws felt nice, not as satisfying as Toby's fingers, but gentle all the same. What's wrong? Talk to me. I fucked up, Hawks warbled in between sobs. With Toby, I fucked up big time, and I don't know if he likes me anymore. He told me his name, and I ran away because I didn't know what to do, and I haven't talked to him in nearly a week, and I've just been hiding in my room, and I just don't know what to do. The last word came out as a wail before Hawks buried his head in her shoulder. Mirko let out a long-suffering sigh, and she gave him another gruff pat on the back, before pushing him away to stare at him from arm's length. Hawks, answer me this. Did you give up when you lost your first battle? No, Hawks sniffed, shaking his head. Did you give up when I broke your wrist during training, that one time? No, Hawks said, feeling his lip quirk slightly at the memory. Did you give up when that fire bitch literally tried to make you into Kentucky Fried Chicken on the battlefield? She demanded, and Hawks felt his stomach lurch at the reminder. No, he said, despite it, because he hadn't. It was true. Dabi hadn't stopped him before. Why would he stop him now? Then what the fuck is this behavior? Mirko nearly yelled, smacking him lightly upside the head. Are you a cat mutant? No, so stop acting like a pussy, bird brain. Or do you want to lose your only shot at getting laid? Raising his head, Hawks wiped at his cheeks, nodding determinedly. No. Good. Then get it together and get back together, you idiot. She punched him in the chest, standing up. Make up and make out. You're the number 2 hero. Find your goddamn plus ultra attitude and get that ass, she shouted, jumping up and down. Okay, Hawks shouted back, feeling vaguely nauseous and slightly confused, but determined nonetheless. Also, you're short, she added, still jumping. I am, Hawks bellowed back, pumping a fist in the air. Mirko grabbed him, spun him around, and shoved him towards the door. Now go. Run, gay boy. Run to your man. I'll come back for you when you have your shit together. Hawks didn't need to be told twice. He ran. He knew exactly where he needed to go. Chapter 15. One flight of stairs and a silent hallway wasn't long to walk, but it was enough time to drain Hawks of his conviction and set his heart pounding. Dabi sat on the steps of the pulpit, white hair glimmering with the light that streamed in through the summer-warmed window. His legs were crossed, shoulders still. He shifted slightly as Hawks took a few cautious steps into the room, the door closing softly behind him. Toya, Hawks called out, voice shaky, distant to his own ears. Dobby turned, eyes wide as their gaze met. "Kay?" The word was disbelieving, hesitant, nervous almost. Hawks coughed awkwardly. "Yeah, I..." He cautiously crossed the room, hands up in a placating gesture as he moved to sit opposite Dobby. Close enough to touch him, but not close enough that it hurt. "I'm sorry." Dobby considered it, then snorted, shaking his head. "It's okay. It's my fault, really." His tone sounded cold, and Hawks' chest ached. "I'm a villain. I get it. I should have warned you sooner, so you could have run away before I cared." "I don't care that you're a villain," Hawks burst out. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's because I just should have realized." With a deep breath, he turned, meeting Toby's stone-cold glare. It turned his blood to ice, but he didn't care. "Take off my bandages." Toby's eyes widened, cold front faltering. "What?" Hawks bit his lip, voice quiet as he asked. "Please?" Confused but cautious, Dobby reached out, touching the clasp at the side of his face to carefully undo the tightly wound gauze wrappings. Hawks shivered under the warm touch. It was so intimate, somehow. His face felt raw and exposed, sensitive as it hit the cool air of the church pulpit. His wild hair sprang free, gently cascading to a halo around his head. Dobby blinked, staring at the thick scars and seeming struck beyond words. "I really am sorry for running," Hawks whispered, touching the back of his neck. "I've always been too fast for my own good." He let out a dry chuckle, wincing as pain sprung to his raw injuries. "I mean, that is my title, isn't it? The fastest man alive?" Dobby was completely still, his lips moving faintly around a single word. "Hawks?" Hawks grinned, yet the gesture was anything but happy. "Hey, hot stuff." Dobby blinked, opened his mouth, closed it. His shoulders were shaking. "No. Fuck this guy. I didn't. You aren't. They wouldn't. But how?" He broke off, breathing picking up. Then he grabbed Hawks' hands, forcing them over the hero's ears, wrenched away, and screamed. It was a little like a hawk shriek, feral and mournful, raw and beautiful. Then he fell silent, still again, the slightest shake to his shoulders reminding Hawks he was still breathing. Then he slowly started to lift his head, manic grin against the hurt and panic in his eyes as he let out a strangled laugh. "I guess that's how it goes, right? We always end up here, you and I. Of course, the first time I fell in love, it'd have to be you. Because life fucking hates me. That's it. Life just hates us, and I hate it too. I hate this so fucking much. Of course, in all this stupid fucking bullshit, the only thing I can't hate is you." The last words dropped from his lips like a curse, and he let out a long, choked cackle, which dissolved into racking sobs. "I want to hate you so fucking badly." Hawks reached out and brushed fingers against Dobby's arm. "Toby." Dobby looked up, spitting every word like they were bullets in a war he knew he was losing, blow for blow. What? What do you want from me now?" Hawks thought about the past 6 months. He thought about Dobby's blue eyes, his sweet smile, his witty quips and smart remarks, his gentle hands, sliced up fingers from playing guitar, the funny pout he made when his bangs fell into his face and he tried to blow them back out instead of just using his hands and tucking them back, the excited intensity in everything he did, everything he said. Hawk stared helplessly back. "I love you." Dobby froze. A long pause stretched like a rubber band in the air, waiting for it to snap, waiting for one of them to break. Dobby put a hand over his mouth, taking a long, shuddering breath, and then nodded, before reaching forward and grabbing Hawks' face with his hands. "I don't know how this is going to work out," he said. "Me neither. Hawks admitted, hypnotized by the way Dobby was looking at him, even with tear-streaked cheeks and puffy eyes. God, he was so beautiful. Hawks wanted to peel back his skin and taste the marrow of his bones. He wanted to curl up inside his chest cavity and feel his heartbeat. He wanted to fall asleep with Dobby, swathed in fire and blood and feathers and feelings, and never wake up. "I love you too," Dobby whispered. Then he kissed him, and Hawks kissed back like it was the only thing that ever made sense. Chapter 16. "So, your wings. I thought they grew back," Dobby said. Hawks had taken him back to their hideout, after about 20 minutes split between making out, crying jaggedly into the other's arms, and calling each other increasingly creative words, ranging from psycho bitch jerk to lovely little honeybird. Hawks winced, making a noise from within Dobby's arms. "They did. It was the first time he'd actually said it out loud, he realized. All for one took them. Dobby gasped. Actually gasped. He what?" "He took my wings," Hawks said miserably. Dobby growled. "The nerve of that! If I ever see him out. Good for nothing little piece of..." Hawks felt himself laugh. It surprised him. He hadn't thought it'd feel this nice to share the worst moment of his life with someone. But then, Dobby wasn't just someone. He was the one. Hawks is one. "Shh." Hawks touched Dobby's face. "Don't get all uptight on my account. I'm okay." "Are you?" Dobby asked, leveling him with a serious stare. Hawks corrected. "I will be okay. It's taking time, but I'm already better than I was when everything started." Dobby hummed, patting his head and smirking when Hawks had to stifle a low croon. "Don't do that," Dobby whispered, smirking. "I want to hear you sing for me, birdie." Hawks flushed bright red, letting out a high flustered trill in response. Dobby laughed and pecked his forehead. "God, I can't believe I thought you were a lion. You're such a weird little bird. Pretty birdie." He purred, moving down to smooth a soft kiss over Hawks' lips. It made him shudder, stomach fluttering and heart thudding. "You're going to kill me," he whined as Dobby moved to bite at his neck. "So you figured it out," he murmured. "Since violence doesn't work on you, I have to get creative." Hawks smirked before going for Dobby's collarbones, a spot he knew was sensitive. Dobby retaliated, going for Hawks' waist. Hawks gasped, head falling back. "Okay, you win. Please, mercy." Dobby laughed, and Hawks chuckled too, after a second. "What should I call you?" he asked, tilting his head, eyes half-lidded. Kago, Hawks? K or Kago when we're in public, but when it's just us, I don't care." "Got it," Dobby nodded. "Toby or Dobby works for me. I don't know if I'm ready to be Toya again." "Okay." Hawks kissed his chest. He took a breath. "Are you still okay with being my boyfriend, now that you know who I am?" Dobby paused, seeming surprised. Yeah, I think I do. Do you want to be mine?" "Yes," Hawk said, without hesitation. "Great." Dobby's cheeks were pink. "Oh my god, I'm dating the number 2 hero." His smile turned more sinister. "Dear old dad is going to be absolutely delighted about this." He laughed, and Hawk shook his head. "I saw Endeavor in the lobby a few weeks back. He didn't recognize me." Dobby stiffened. "Of course he was." "I thought he was here to see your mom," Hawks admitted. Dobby looked at him, and then shook his head in amazement. "God, you're so fucking stupid. It's almost a turn-on." Hawks blushed furiously. "Shut the fuck up, asshole. Your clueless demeanor and witless mumblings have captivated me." Dobby repined, dramatic as always. Hawks whacked him with a pillow, and Dobby giggled. Hawks paused, realizing Dobby had just giggled. Toby did that all the time. But Dobby. His brain still hadn't fully construed the two identities as one. He wondered how much longer he'd keep being surprised. Question, Hawk said, feeling once again like he was on the edge of a cliff. Do you... He looked at his hands and decided to just drop the question entirely. I'm so fucking sorry about twice. A dark shadow passed over Dobby's face, but only for a second. And then he reached out and touched Hawks' chin. You were being controlled by the Commission. All your actions were only half your own, really. So you only killed 0.5 of my friends. And then I tried to kill you, and halfway did. So I killed 0.5 of your friends. Which makes us even, I think. Hawk squinted. I'll take that. He paused. Actually, that makes you the worst person in this case. I killed 0.5 of your friends. If you'd killed me, you'd have managed to finally get rid of my worst enemy. You don't like yourself? Dobby raised an eyebrow. Sometimes, I can't tell whether I hate myself more than I love you, Hawks admitted. Dobby huffed. Careful, Birdie. That's my boyfriend you're talking about. Hawks grinned lazily. If it helps, you're winning right now? Of course I am. I'm always right. Dobby growled, then kissed Hawks' cheeks with so much affection, Hawks just couldn't take him seriously. He laughed, and Dobby sat back, glaring with flushed cheeks. Hawks got himself back to a sitting position, watching as Dobby stalked across the room and grabbed something from one of his cardboard boxes, before bringing it back. It was a pack of body markers. Hawks raised an eyebrow. I found these lying on a cart. Think the doctors use it for surgeries. Thought we could play around with them, though. He opened up the package, uncapping a black one and examining the tip. If it doesn't hurt, I could draw over some of your scars. Hawks' breath caught, and he nodded slowly. Okay, but only if I get to draw on you too. Whatever, just have fun with it, Songbird. Then he took Hawks' arm and wrote bastard in big block kanji. Hawks choked, covering his mouth with a hand. Toby! What? Said Dobby innocently, moving to draw a small flower on his knuckle. Hawks took a red marker, uncapped it, and crossed out the first kanji, so it simply read boy, then writing Dobby's name and the possessive particle before it, so it more or less said Dobby's boyfriend. Dobby rolled his eyes. Sad. Oh, you love it, Hawks said, then wrote out Dere Dere, love struck, on Toby's shoulder. Dobby gaped, playing offense, a light in his eyes. Now everyone will know how much you adore me. You little, said Dobby, and then he dove in again with the marker. Idiot. A small collection of stars grouped together like a constellation. Be my Valentine, winky face, -H. It's May, -D. A collection of small flowers. This boy is on fire. An arrow. I hate you. A sketch of a cat. A rose by any other name. Can I name it Gerald? A sketch of a cat with red wings added, next to a cat with flames coming from its side. We are hated by life itself, with a small bar and a play button added beneath, like you could press it and it would spring to life. A tic-tac-toe with X's winning, in the margins. Your move, winky face. Call me by your name, XX. A pattern of feathers forming a spiral. Fuck Endeavor. So true, babe. A small doodle of a bird. I love you. A smiley face with little devil horns. I love you too.